Travelling around, it's quite clear to see that although the developed world is going into recession, there are a lot of places that are doing the exact opposite. I've just got back from the Czech Republic and there's anything but the air of recession over there. Not really surprising when you consider that having joined the EU, many of the people, not just from there but from Hungary, from Poland and various other places in Eastern Europe, have been able to work in other European countries and probably outside Europe as well. They've been sending back cash to these countries to the tune of a lot of money. Poland last year received over £1 billion from its workers based here in London. They're not spending money here, they're not staying here, they're going back, and all that cash is there. Most of these countries haven't borrowed too much money, for instance Poland and Czech Republic in particular, and that means that they're now poised for some country building. They've got a lot of infrastructure to develop, although a lot of it has been developed, and they're really poised to have a growth phase. The money's there, the people will be going back, it's all in place. Look at Romania, they were asking for 100,000 workers, skilled building workers, to go there and help them develop the country. There's a lot of opportunity there. That means that they'll have a new infrastructure which places them very well for business. And the other thing you have to remember with the Czech Republic is that whereas when we were all growing up, the middle of Europe was kind of West Germany and west of West Germany at that, the middle of Europe now is actually the Czech Republic. We're on the edge. And that should be quite concerning to all of us, because I'm not sure quite how long we can maintain our position as the financial centre of Europe, given that we're actually nowhere near the centre. That said, Czech Republic is quite an interesting place. I was in Prague. It's a city that has had a lot of work done to it. You can see this in the building work and makeovers that they've done on a lot of the buildings. Obviously, some still to be done, but still, there's very much a kind of a parochial, post-communist working class attitude in the place. The touristy things to do are basically go to a strip club. I'm told that's because that's what Germans want to do. I don't know. I assume they mean East Germans. But if you go into a local bar, all you're going to see is a whole load of guys sitting around with caps on, smoking cigarettes, presumably talking about I don't know, unions and football. There'll be football actually on the TV, some kind of sport at least, and there'll be a girl dancing on the bar, probably with next to nothing on, who no one's really taking any notice of because it's just so normal and commonplace. Quite a lot of these bars are open 24 hours. Of course, we know here the only genuinely 24-hour bar is of course the House of Commons. But the point is they're a little bit out of step. They haven't got the kind of sophistication that we have in Western countries. That's probably about to change, because as people go back there, they'll be taking their knowledge from Western European countries and from America. So I imagine there'll be something of a renaissance in the kind of nighttime entertainment that you have there. So what's the next stage? Well, I think they're going to be particularly well placed for having a growth period now. Their currencies will appreciate because, if nothing else, they've got so much of our money over there, not just ours, but euros and such like. If they want to trade, there are plenty of countries in the world they'll be able to trade with. Russia will be desperate for the business, and that, I think, will mean that they'll have relative strength after the end of the recession. All of this means that basically it's a good place, I think, for a long-term punt. I've actually stuck half my pension into it. Whether you want to do that or not is entirely up to you, and you should certainly take advice on that. But I can't see how they will be more poorly placed than us by the time we come out of recession. I think that they'll be actually better placed. And so the other thing that remains is, of course, the euro. Slovakia is joining it, which may or may not be a good idea. The Czech Republic isn't joining it yet, and of course Poland hasn't. But once they've got to the end of our recession and their growth period is actually really developing, I reckon they'll probably join the euro, which will be quite interesting because it will likely be about the same sort of time that we're joining it. Because I can't help feeling that this interest rate cut business that's going on, instead of tax cuts, all has to do with devaluing the pound, so that £1 equals €1, and the man in the street will probably think that then it's a fair time to join it. Whereas in reality, of course, that's completely irrelevant. Anyway, there we are. Eastern Europe, definitely a place to be thinking about. Other ways you can invest in Eastern Europe, of course, are things like exchange-traded funds and such like. So there are plenty of ways that you can actually get involved in that. The only snag, of course, is that now Slovakia has got the euro. Of course, their economy will be a little bit out of step with the other ones. Hungary, of course, have borrowed quite a lot of money as well, so be a little wary of that. But perhaps there'll be some opportunity in the future to invest more directly into the countries that are likely to be the success stories, in particular Poland. Anyway, that's the market report. Eastern Europe going into growth, Western Europe very definitely into recession. So there we are, make your own mind up on that one. Next month there'll be a report on South America. I shall be in Brazil for the next few weeks, getting my information together there. I think that'll make quite interesting listening as well. Have a nice week.